we are coming next to the main topic for tonight, which is the new generation customs wave 2. Volarak, right? Volarak's Vow. And this was released, I think it was last Thursday. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was last Thursday. And let me just bring this up here. Volarak's Vow. And we have the grand total of 4. Count them. 4. No, there's a reason for that. 4 miniatures. And RogueScaper, would you like to explain a second, since you kind of represent new generation customs a little bit? If you want to explain that a second to the audience.
Yeah, so essentially, well, I'm with NGC. It's kind of our customs group that's popping up and working on things. We really focus on, just 3D printed and painted materials. Our original focus was for the unreleased Age of Annihilation stuff that was, originally that we just failed and was just kind of lost to time itself. So our mission originally was to find proxies for all those release figures. We've been scouring STL sites and all that stuff, or making them our own for like the Glide Strikers and stuff like that. like Hero Forge and stuff like that. So our goal was to kind of incorporate all that with the news that Age of Annihilation is coming in full. We've definitely shifted direction, and I'd be happy to talk about that more later as well. But for Wave 2, we were in the process of, some of the designs weren't fully realized that were leaked or released to us, and so we were kind of just tying those up, getting them to a playable, ready level. So getting the models and powers kind of either created kind of entirely like Zed, the blunt boy, or kind of just balanced a bit like the Glide Strikers, just making sure the points are kind of at a correct cost. So those models, these 4 units, are kind of ranged from being completely almost original characters to just being touched up.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And we're kind of labeling them as conceptual units at this point, just because they are being released officially. But we did put a lot of design work, and
Sure.
I want to give people a chance to play with them beforehand, and kind of just showcase what Age of Annihilation was offering and what we're doing on our side. So
Right.
So
Well, and it's cool, and we're gonna like browse these in a second. But I mean, I think I mostly look forward to what you guys are gonna come up with next, just from your own, imaginations, from the setting of Age of Annihilation, and what you're gonna actually bring to the table as far as the custom bits for it. So I do look forward to that. But how about we take a look at these guys real quick here? Let's see here. Where's a good list for these? I think if I... No, okay. I want to do one individually. I want to do... Maybe if I do compendium. Aha! Yeah, there we go. Alright. So... First of all, the painting is great on all these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I will put that out. And was there a bit of lore for Wave 2 as well? I don't know if there...
I'm trying to remember. I think we've been teasing Wave 3 lore a bit.
Right.
Everything kind of got shuffled around with the AOA announcement. So I think we had some stuff. We had some plans and storylines with other figures that we were kind of introducing. We were bumping those to Wave 3. So Wave 2 is honestly more just, here's proof of concept to show that we were working on these, that we put the the time and effort. And if you want to kind of play with them yourself, here's colorization and cards already kind of done for you. So we've labeled them as like conceptual units, honestly, is kind of how they're mentioned. But I don't think we have any direct lore beyond what was Avalon Hill provided for these guys.
Okay. No, fair enough. Fair enough. I think there... I mean, I don't know about you, Jason and Jeremy, but when going through these, I think a couple things that stood out to me was, well, here, I'm just going to hear. Book of Air Marshal Zed Nesbitt. Of course, you got stealth flying, but the Clockwork carrier. Let's see. I'm gonna just read this. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Chad Paris there in the chat. It says Wave 3 lore has been teased the most. NGC has shifted to our own original stuff. We wanted to get Wave 2 out the door immediately. Wave 2 previously was not going to come out so soon. All the figures in lore moved to focus on Wave 3 and beyond. And yeah, that's understandable. Everything that has happened in the past like couple of months when it comes to Renegade, it's understandable. And I'm still glad we get these guys, though. I mean, I just want to see. I want to get the Air Marshal just for the. There's 2 miniatures in one, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's two separate files that you just kind of glue on together. They fit pretty well. That was a fun one. That's honestly the blimp. Zed Nesbitt is one of the reasons we decided to release these, just because there was a lot of development that went into this. This is kind of NGC Zed Nesbitt. I'm all tangled up here, but essentially this one is kind of had the most design work, most finding a proper blimp and printing them out. I printed like 2 or 3 blimps before this, and some were disasters. Some had like 15 parts to put together. Didn't have stands. All kind of development work. Zed went through like I think 8 drafts before we kind of settled on something simple and easy to play with.
Right, and the way that Zed Nesbitt's ability spreads like miniatures across the field, in that it's like you could basically have, depending on the combination, like if you have a squad of 4, and then you can have a squad of 4 plus 2 others, as long as they're, let's see here, soldiers, I think, right? Soldiers, Ursine, is that Ursine or Ursin? I think it's Ursine. And or Vord.
It's
Ursin. Ursin. Okay.
Ursin.
I can't pronounce things, Oh, well. Anyway, yeah. So many options with these. So, and then it's kind of like you have Zed Nesbitt just flying around stealthily, and they just drop. It's almost like similar to Kalgarith's ability, where Kalgarith rains destruction when the dragon passes over. Only
it's just raining men. Hallelujah!
It's raining. Yeah, exactly. Oh goodness, you beat me to that. But yeah, I found that very interesting. Interesting ability.
It's a fun way if you want to kind of bypass the Airborne Elites drop feature. You can have them be tied to Zed, where the Glide Strikers work really well with this guy. It was really hard to create a character, as the description says, as both a sniper and a daredevil. That was so we had to how do you be far away attacking people, but also in the midst of the fray? So there was a lot of back and forth on that.
Interesting. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm curious to know why you chose the 2 characters per activation versus making them like a Space Marine drop pod. It just comes in and everybody gets out guns blazing in one turn. I'm curious.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Oh, why did you go with have them only drop 2 figures per activation versus allowing them to fly up into battle and have everybody drop out at once and have them ready to go in one activation like that?
That was more balanced, just because if you can get someone start zone, drop off 6 characters, your whole army's kind of tied up at that point. In smaller maps with 8 stealth fly-in, or 6 stealth fly-in. I'm sorry, that it could tie people down, and it's kind of more like they're slowly go 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 type of situation. It's kind of more the vibe we wanted to emulate.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, I have to say I was at ScapeCon when the first announcement launched for this wave, and I thought that this blimp is insanely impressive. I was like, y'all nailed the aesthetic, because I mean you had the prototype that they showed off at PulseCon to go off of. Not a lot there because it was just that prototype. and you were able to create this exceptionally designed figure. Like, I mean, I was like, this looks cool. Like, this looks like I would love to see this on the Heroscape battlefield at some point.
It almost gives me
really
Final
fun.
Fantasy vibes a little bit.
It's such a good model. I was just like, y'all found this. Like, impressive, because I mean, I don't know. I wasn't in the department of being like, oh, well, now the AOA is never coming out. You know, we'll never see these things again. I had a genuine like feeling, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I know the Heroscape community. I know y'all are insanely brilliant. Like, I mean, it does not take a lot of time for somebody on the Heroscape forums to just create things out of thin air. So, like, I was like, well, you know, considering we're not going to be able to get these models, I'd imagine somebody would do this. Like, I imagined that this was going to be somebody would take the time to create this. And yeah, you were able to find this exceptionally like beautiful model that like fits the role of Nesbit so well, and then create an identity to him that we didn't have, you know. So because we don't know his powers. We know, you know, they drafted him. We know that he was finalized. We know that the playtesters know what he plays like, but only they do and no one else.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that information, you were able to craft something. Not only like the aesthetic is awesome, it's also that, you know, it's something that'd be fun to play. You know, got this guy zipping around shooting people from 8 spaces. I mean,
yeah, that's a nice range.
Range goes a long way. Range goes always a long way. And I'd imagine your immediate goal would to try to get range with Zed Nesbit, and then like from the range, drop stuff down, keep going back up, drop stuff down, keep going, you know, just
that's
zipping
the
around.
fun part, because it's, you know, he has a range, so you want to not get tied up in combat, but also then you're not
keep the forces coming. Yeah, keep deploying people. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's like I really think in terms of aesthetic, both game mechanics and physical, like the model itself, very very nice choices. Would be really cool to see in a live game or something. Like, I can just see in action for sure.
Most likely, Jeremy, like we're at EscapeCon next year, I'll bring him. And then we can have another round with him. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see whenever Renegade releases their version of this, how they compare.
The Avalon Hill one.
Yep. That'll be interesting to see. What other thing stands out? I know, like, this one I think was kind of scary, and this one actually, I mean, I was interested in Zed Nesbit, of course, the Void Glide Strikers, but the one card that stood out to me the most was Giroshia, I believe, Grovekeeper. The abilities are very very interesting. It says here, like, you know, the thing's thorny and it can give people wounds. Especially, and the cool thing is it says whenever an opponent's figure that is engaged with Giroshia leaves its current space, meaning, because sometimes people are engaged to a miniature but can still kind of move around the miniature and not take any you know, not take any hits. But you can't even do that against this miniature. This is something you cannot do. If you're moving around them, you're going to not take a leave an engagement, but you're going to take a Thorn Morass hit more than likely. And it's like almost a 50-50 chance of getting a wound.
It's really fun against a good strong counter without being too overpowered against like armies that rely on disengagement. Like orcs will have a hard time facing against this one, but it's kind of you know, stat spread is simple enough that you can bypass it. You know, it's better just to kill it than run away. But so it's kind of how you use your you know, the time that this creature hangling everyone up provides you for. This is another one I really like. Just NGC has a design philosophy, kind of, I would say, theme first. You know, we look at it, we really look at the unit and we look at the character. We say, how does this feel unique and like thematic on the battlefield? Like all the powers make sense. You look at it like, oh yeah, this thing is wrapping people up in vines. We get it, you know. Then we buckle down and all right, let's make this really cool concept actually playable and not completely broken type of situation.
And with the
Does Thorn Morass count as a leaving engagement attack?
no,
Or is
because
it its own special thing?
they're not leave because it's not leaving the engagement of this. They're just trying to like circle around them, so they don't
Okay.
leave engagement. But it's like it's basically trying to force your opponent to keep them in their spot, and if they move, even try to move around this miniature, every time they move, every time you got to roll the d20 and
It's only
have that chance to
once for
receive
each
it.
figure each turn. So once per turn they'll take it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say, like, Garushia, this version of this character scares me because when I was playing in ScapeCon, there's a significant advantage, and I mean they even told us this during the coaching at ScapeCon. If you can move your figure, right? Like even in engagements, like there is value in circling your opponent, even if it seems silly, right? It's still an opportunity to get to better ground once the engagement is over. Or, you know, sometimes I was able to gain height because I was just positioned just enough spaces up to where I could get up on the ledge, and then boom, there's an extra attack die. So now you're talking about not only are you still trying to take advantage of the opportunity to move around the character, but now you have to decide, do you risk that 20-sided roll to do that? And so now like Garushia is introducing a whole new question to the fighting scenario, and then you're like, crap, now I can't move around. You know, like that's the thing I just learned how to do, and now if I fight this character, I can't move around. Oh god. Like so it's interesting. I'm glad that Heroscape has this fascinating ability. Like no matter how many characters are introduced to the game, no matter how many times we see various like constructions of rule settings, there's always something new to consider in terms of adding that competitiveness and adding that play style. And now, so for like that's a really cool way to make the Dry and Lifeborn Order interesting in competitive play, because now it's like, yeah, shoot, now you can't move around them, so you make yourself a wall of Garushias, you know, like okay, never mind, Garushia and then the other Bramblethorn. But like if you're using the Bramblethorn as a means of deterring your opponent from circling around, and then you keep them in the trees, which makes it even harder to kill them because they heal every tree, you know, every time they're by a tree and they don't move. Yeah, I mean, like what's that one map they did on Escape? Dark Fulcrum had the trees. Yeah, Garushia would be insane for that map. I know they have, because they do a couple tree maps at ScapeCon, and I can imagine, you know, if you got a Grove Keeper, just put it right there in the middle of the map. Good luck.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one thing with the Grove provides.
Even shooting it, you sit there and keep shooting it. It just keeps healing because it's just
keep healing,
there.
right? And
that's great. It's such
either
it's
it
so cool.
doesn't have to move, or if adjacent to a tree or bush, that is just
Yeah. And you know, of course, and you know, good shout out to NGC for maintaining the flavor text, right? Because they made it a beast. They made it medium, so all the wizards can activate this character.
Right.
You know, so you got that nice bonding experience with the Dry and Lifeborn Order. The way that we were told that they would operate is one wizard summoning a couple familiars to do his bidding. Now you got this thing that just won't die, and I'm like, oh no. And then if you try to surround it, now you better make sure you move your character where you want the character to be, because now that character cannot move, and you're like, ugh, like it's a new thing to think about on the field of battle, and I think that's really cool to see.
It's a lot like Charos. It's just kind of like it's this big presence. Like you engage it, it's kind of war of attrition at that point.
It's like, do I risk the counter strike? You know.
I think the only saving grace against this miniature would be range. You know.
Right, but even then, it's like if you put it by a tree, it just heals every time.
Or if it just stays still. But I mean, defensive 3. If you don't roll your defense right.
Oh yeah, you know, if you whiff,
you could get wiped out fairly quickly. So I think it just depends on what's going on, and what army you're against. But and I think that creates a good balance, for
the Heroscape
as well. Yeah.
This one was a fun one to figure out how to paint. More, I'm definitely more on the art side than the we all dabble in all the other factors, but and challenge was to paint this creature which looks very vine-like, but we have kind of a color theme of purple and white for all the beasts of the Dryad Order. So I had to kind of figure out how do I bring that white element into a creature that's mostly vine. So that was a fun one to figure out and get going.
Nice.
Yeah, it's definitely the one that stood out to me. Even though I think I like one or two of these wave more. This is the one that stood out to me the most, for sure. With just those abilities, I'm like, oh, that just makes the battlefield all that more interesting. And so here, and Dom Predator,
nice.
Dom Predator there in the chat says, those are sick cards, can't wait for these. Well, Dom Predator, actually, if you go to
they're already out.
New Generation Customs website, which there's a link in the description below, because you're watching on YouTube there, you can check out these cards right now and find ways to acquire the miniatures and get to painting them and start playing them. They're ready to be used. Now, if it comes to like tournament play, you would have to find out whoever's running the tournament if they would allow to use these. But for casual play, yeah, have at it. Yeah, these as well as Wave 1 of New Generation Customs too. Yeah, take a look into that. So.
I think we're on Heroscape.org now, so if you do have tournaments want to include these figures,
are you?
These specifically are labeled like conceptual units, so you can pick them if the tournament allowers allow it, or Wave 1 figures as well. I think we just got into the system, so.
Oh, do you have Delta points then on your cards yet?
Delta really hasn't approached us yet. We're still kind of new in that scene, so Delta is kind of a different animal just because these are all designed new and haven't seen much tournament play as of yet.
For sure.
We're definitely open to if Delta wants to readjust those, but for now they're balanced according to their play test and how they interact with the current releases.
Absolutely. Okay. Anything else, guys, that stands out? I mean, we can look at, since there's only 4. We can take a look at these. Other ones here. Okay, we'll look at the elephant in the room, aka airborne elite miniatures, the Vord Glide Strikers. Here in a second. Let me just bring them up here. It's basically the airborne elite with wings,
Right.
Yeah.
But a lot cheaper.
A lot cheaper. Yeah, 40 points. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's see here. And Chad Paris on the chat says, Delta is an individual project. We don't have the ability to make entries into Delta because it is a closed group. Okay, I see. I wasn't sure. I mean, my mind was going to where if you guys were on like Heroscape.org and you already had the miniatures up there to select with armies, I mean, they would have, they have original points and then Delta points. I didn't know if you had that in the website as well or not. So that's where I was thinking. All right. Okay. So the Vord. The Vord. Save the Vord. These guys are interesting. Good range, and like Jason said, good with points. And the way the comments here, I'll try and reread this. Yeah, them, like the airborne elite, do not start the game on the battlefield. But so you're basically, they come on when you reveal order marker, right? If I'm reading that correctly.
It's before you reveal an order marker.
Oh, before. Okay, before. Okay, I see it. Okay, I see it. Yeah, I can't read.
No, you're good.
So before revealing any order marker, or one that's on their card?
It says on Vord Glide Striker, so it's got to be an order marker on them.
So essentially, you can deploy these guys.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
So you reveal an order marker, you can place one on the map, essentially, anywhere you like.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like one at a time for each order marker place, basically.
Correct.
Okay.
So they're they're take a bit long to deploy. That's where kind of Zed comes in, as they can kind of get them on the battlefield faster.
Right.
But they're really good. I think these ones were mostly the powers presented from AOA originally.
Yeah, it's AOA. So I always think it's so funny, the concept. So just kind of like spoil a little early. The Void Glide Strikers here and Haluchot, both of them were powers that we got on accident. Because one of the advertising graphics that they had made for, I think it was when they first launched, they're like, hey, this is what the new cards are going to look like. And that, that started that whole thing. But when they introduced the design of the new cards, they showed a picture of the Void Burrow Breaker and of the Centaur, but the powers were, so Halucia, the Centaur, and they showed those pictures, but it had the powers of Haluchot and the Void Glide Strikers. So that's where we get that information from. And then they, swiftly adjusted.
Too
and
late.
That information
you release stuff on the internet.
Yeah, no,
It's
that's
there
the thing.
forever.
It's like you've never faced the wrath. I should no, that's probably not the word. You've never faced the passion that is the Heroscape community. You launch anything at all, we're going to save it. We're probably going to back it. We're probably going to put it on some hard drive and bury it in the earth. And like it's you done messed up. You already posted it.
Preach it.
The archiving ability of Heroscapers is so impressive. They're like, oh yeah, that one
amazing.
promo image from 2009. Yeah, I got that.
I still have that. Yeah, no, and the thing is, like, I have it near me. Probably somewhere here. But I have a hard drive of all the original, like the artworks and stuff, like the wallpapers, and I saved a lot of the original images that were on the OG website before that website was deleted. And yeah, I'm proud of being able to do that. It was a lot of work, like saving all that content. But now, now we have that, and I'm not the only one. Of course, you can get that information on heroscapers.com. But like, it's still cool to see me and many other people out there took the time to document and keep this game's, media heritage, I guess you could call it, media legacy, still active, still available to new players now. Because I mean, there are tons of new players to Heroscape. Even now, like people are saying, oh yeah, I just started a couple years ago. They're never going to know what it looked like back then. So this is what we have, is these legacy items to be like, yeah, no, here's the images that used to be circulating on the website you could get any day. And so that's what's so exciting about Renegades. Now Renegade could hopefully put that all back together into something that everyone can enjoy. So we'll have to see how that goes. But yeah, no, they released those stats. We nabbed those stats. They tried to get rid of the stats, and we still have them. So NGC is releasing what was announced, or what was accidentally announced on the HasLab page, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I got a question. When it comes to, let's see here, can they fly or no? Not
yeah,
really.
well, actually, no. Wait.
No, they don't have
no flying on the card.
Yeah,
they're gliding. Okay.
They got wings, but they don't have a flying ability. I don't think.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, no, it's the same for the OG. Yeah, they didn't actually give them flying.
Right.
They just soar in.
Glide in the battlefield. They drop the wings, presumably.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not think about that. Yeah, same thing with Wing Commander Tuck Harrigan. No, he has flying. Yeah. So he can fly, but
Stealth flying.
We did talk about giving these guys flying, but honestly, it makes them a lot more just that flying range. It makes them go from a kind of a cheap filler squad to a very high powered army at that point.
Right.
And fly around. It was kind of a
little broken there.
A little bit of a mess that way.
Yeah,
that's understandable.
The thought process of these guys, you pretty much drop them near your enemy deployment zone to cause a little bit of harassment and disruption for the first couple turns while the rest of the army moves up.
Yeah,
and
I would imagine. Yeah,
yeah.
So.
They work good as they take 4 turns to come out, so by that point your enemy is kind of out. So they work as good end game figures to get kind of near those last kind of bits of people is what we found they work best as.
Okay.
So, you kind of slowly deploy them out, and they have good spots to pick off those remaining figures that are left on the board is kind of how we found them played the most.
Kind of helps with the range, yeah. and especially
But
if you're not
with
playing them,
Zed Nesbit, it does
Yeah.
change them around a bit.
right? If you don't have the Zed Nesbit, then yeah, just put them out, a little bit, And I mean, they have evasive, which I mean might keep one or two alive a little bit longer than normal, so that helps when trying to take pot shots at whatever's remaining in the battlefield. So yeah, I get that. I get that. All right.
40 points, bargain deal.
Bargain, yeah,
Right.
40 points. Yeah, exactly. Now, last but not least, here we have a wizard. Darn wizards, but not this one.
No, this is a good wizard.
This is okay. How do I pronounce this? Oh my goodness, the pronunciation.
I've always said Haluchot.
I was about okay. Haluchot.
Yeah.
Haluchot. Hello. I'm just gonna call him Hello now. Hello, Corruptor of Beasts. Okay,
Really cool model.
It's a very nice, very detailed model, and lots of things going on when it comes to the abilities as well. 125 points. That's interesting. To where it ends with a 5 instead of a 0 when it comes to points. Was there any reasoning behind that that you know of, Josiah? Or
It's on the OG.
oh, it is, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So the original character was meant to be 125, which I don't know. It's an interesting concept that I noticed. They did a lot of the AOA characters have that extra 5, and I'm not a fan of extra 5s because then it requires a little bit more math. It requires less. I'm like, oh man, I got the coolest army ever. Wait, no, I'm 5 points over. I'm like, that's so frustrating.
Definitely not 10 points under, but 5 points over. Yeah.
Right. I imagine the goal was to make you think a little bit more in terms of army composition.
Sure.
Like, don't just take advantage of the fact that you can bond, because with Haluchot, of course, if you draft Haluchot, you're going to want to take advantage of Command of the Wild, and it's too small, medium, or large beasts you control. So, a Haluchot army or a Haluchot focused army would have those two beast familiars, or for the Command of the Wild. But then, obviously, you don't want to just stock up on a bunch of beasts or whatever, and then you're just throwing a bunch of Ice Berserker trolls or something like that to the opponent. So I imagine they did that extra 5 to kind of make you think a little bit more about your familiar options.
Sure.
But that's the best. I have zero. What can I say in terms of doing the point system in Heroscape? I can't tell you how to do the point system in Heroscape. That's that math, that secret math that the devs do, and I'm just like, I believe you. I don't know how it works. I just try to work with it, and sometimes I'm like, I hate these numbers. These are not fun numbers. Then you play Delta, and you're like, oh, well, this is way different now. And it's the game completely changes, right? Because now all the points are different. So I want to see. It would be interesting to see if Delta does in fact take a shot at some of the AOA characters that we have, play them a bunch, and then be like, you know what? Let's see what they would do if they were cheaper or more expensive, and then kind of play around with that. And that would be really cool to see. But yeah, TLDR, I'm not a fan of the 5, but I can kind of, it does make me think more in terms of drafting, so
right.
I can appreciate that much.
And this wizard can fly, which is interesting. Yes. And then also, I mean, it does close-up attacks, but also has a little range special attack, which is
Staff to long hand.
Yeah, and you can use it before or after doing the normal attack, which is interesting. That the option's there for that. And then Calm the Beast. I think that actually, when the Calm the Beast ability falls in line with, I think it's is it a Beast miniature from Wave 1 that just goes completely berserk and it can't be controlled. So it has potential of killing us. Did we talk about that before? Here, hold on a second. I'm gonna go back to Wave 1. Hold on a second. Let me see if I remember correctly. Was it the Titan? No, it wasn't. No. Yeah. Vrono, the Bramble. I think it was.
Vrono the Bramblethorn.
Yeah. Lash out. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, because it's a beast. Yeah. So this would be.
Yeah.
So Vrono might be good to go with this wizard, because Lash Out, we kind of had misgivings against this, and look, 85 points there. So good matchup, I guess. Because whenever Vrono is wounded by a friendly figure, you must roll 1 attack die for each opponent's figure adjacent to Vrono. If you roll a skull, the figure receives a wound. Vrono uses Lash Out even if it receives enough wounds to be destroyed. So, yeah, and I know we raised concerns like, well, then they would be attacking, your own guys, but
So that's why he has 2 attacks then.
right.
He can smack someone in the face and shoot this guy in the back from 6 squares away. It's a 2 attack, 2 defense, maybe 1 damage if you're lucky. Not do, and then he goes crazy and does a lot of extra damage.
Yeah. So yeah. Hello can receive
clever.
extra
like
defense.
That.
So yeah, so it's a good combination. So I understand the the reasoning behind it. And I knew that NGC was going to come up with something, to go on with that, and this is apparently one of them, I imagine. So yeah, very nice, very nice. And actually, it kind of looks like the painting of Hello here. Kind of the color scheme goes well with Vrono as well, a little bit.
Yeah, so this was a fun one to paint as well, because we're using that purple and white motif. So I did paint like a green one that was your traditional kind of druid colors, green, brown, reds. But I was like, you know what, I want this guy to really kind of pop out on the Ular card. So or Aular, I call him Aular normally. I don't know, I'm trying to be fancy today. But just to kind of pop out that contrasting colors. So that's kind of why we went this design route here.
It looks like a really fun wizard. It really does. I mean, I just love the stats. It's good. It's a fun day when you got 4 stats and they work.
Right.
Yeah, this guy's action economy is really fun. You can do a lot in a turn.
Right. Yeah, I look forward to playtesting these things in the future for sure. It's yeah, it's very interesting. Just for the excitement of knowing that whatever Renegade plans to release, I know people are speculating it's like, after October 7th they're going to might be releasing stuff, months in months, not just later on into 2024. We'll have to see, but yeah, we'll just have to see what they come up with. But this just makes me excited. For sure.
Yeah, okay. It's very the prelude to AOA. It's very, very nice way of kind of getting people to think about what are the possibilities, and NGC's development is like it's like, hey, what if this is what they were going for? And I think that's the cool part. Is like, yeah, let's have some fun and enjoy it and try these things out while we wait for the official product. Because
we don't know when this guy's coming.
What else are we doing, other than waiting? So it's like, might as well have some games while we wait. And
we're all getting a bit antsy,
yeah. yeah. No, we're definitely getting a little antsy. I will say that. It's like, I do think I don't know. I think it's fun to be part of the community and just like the buzzing, the hype just generating. Like we all, I know I'm not the only one. I've had a lot of conversations with people in the background, and even Craig mentioned it at Gen Con. Like the crowdfund failure made us all pretty sad. Like we all kind of just fell into a pit, for a little bit. And this project, NGC's project, the Renegade development, all of this is putting life back into the community, and I think that's really nice to see. All the excitement generating and building up for the new Heroscape. So it's a very nice way to pave the road to the future.
Yeah, no, we're definitely very excited about the, I have to admit I was kind of had mixed feelings because we've been working so hard on these figures, and then, they announced the release on the figures. I was like, oh, but we just kind of worked so hard to make these. But,
right.
then, after a couple of days, you know what, Heroscape's coming back. I'm excited. And NGC kind of serves another purpose for those that are like scared about painting or like I don't know what to do. We're trying to provide a lot of resources or like paint guides for these figures. So if you like this color scheme for the official Halo shot, you can kind of steal it and apply it to your own. And
Right.
there'll be a video on how to maybe not this one per se, but there'll be videos on how to paint these guys and so that we try to have a lot of company media resources for those just kind of tentatively approaching the subject too.
And I think what's encouraging about NGC too, I think you guys started in a place where you're thinking, okay, this was our goal. But I think over time, especially with Renegade taking over AOA, you're kind of transforming a little bit and changing, and it's not a bad thing. Like you were saying, when it comes to showing people a way to paint things and getting rid of the stigma of painting and understanding the joy of painting things and the to just show how simple it actually is to do. And I know I'm going to be diving into that sometime in the future as well. That and I really see that NGC could possibly be the type of standard that C3V is. Someday, and it'd be great to see customs, on the AOA line that aren't AOA, but they come from the custom community, just like what C3V is. So yeah, no, I can definitely see that in the future for you guys.
Yeah, there's definitely some cool things in the pipe work we have going on. It kind of following the news of AOA coming back. We kind of had a team meeting and said, like, what do we want to do moving forward? How do we still be a valuable part of those who want to play? So we're workshopping some pretty much fan contests where you would submit a concept with a prompt, and the winner would work directly with us and developing a unit for an NGC wave.
Mm-hmm.
I think that announcement's going to come out September 8th. Don't quote me on that, but
Okay.
that's gonna be
my birthday. Let's go.
Good birthday present right there. So that'll be for me. So if you got some ideas cooking and you want them to actually be kind of in this process, I've discovered that everyone has ideas, but in order to make your idea work, you have to be able to kind of rip it apart and say what works about this, what's good, and kind of work in a team environment. It's so much more productive for your customs work. So we would work with you on the winner of these contests, just to really get some kind of direct community involvement in that. And we got a lot of original worlds, new places coming up as well. So yeah, we got some fun things in the pipeline. Some spooky stuff coming up appropriately.
Yeah.
So yeah, am I able to reveal anything?
What's your NDA on?
That's, well, I told him, what, I might ruffle over this and show some stuff because I get excited. And then all right, you have all the models, so.
Do we got to guess which miniatures behind you there are going to be used for new Heroscape?
Yeah, no, there's too many. You know what? I have one here. I will, I'll have mail at me later. But so this is one we're working on. It is correct. It's a Morrow Warlord.
Oh
my goodness!
Wow!
Right,
wow!
a skeleton bull.
Oh, nice.
So he's coming wave 4. So that's the one we're got going on. He's one kind of thought up by me originally, so that's why I'm showing up. Nice. So that's coming, and we're really trying to figure out just ways to make cool looking models appear in your battlefield, really make the battlefield look great. So expect some spooky stuff coming in October. Wave 3 is going to be focusing on a lot of that, and New Planet. So I'm really excited going forward.
So how soon how soon are we going to see, how would I put it, like these next waves, like releasing? Do you think?
I think October 31st is our Wave 3 release. I think that is just because most of the stuff we've been working on actively, because this wave was kind of a conceptual wave, or just fine-tuning existing concepts. So October 31st is, you'll be seeing a lot more of that stuff. I think on Facebook, those that saw the worms showing up, and the creepy bell monster, those are all going to be in that wave. So there's some after that wave 4 is kind of up in the air. We haven't set a date on that, but we try to stick to our release dates to kind of get things out faster and not on development for a whole long time. So it's we want people to play with this stuff.
Absolutely. No, yeah, and I'm very enthusiastic and can't wait to see these waves. And of course, we're going to be on here talking about them. Going through them. So yeah. Sounds fun. All right. Well, anything else we want to say about NGC Wave 2 before we close this segment? Anything else, guys? Nada. We're good. I'm very enthusiastic, and like I said, I got this is the only NGC miniature I have right here. So Takala Titan, nice guy. He can hit the big ones, and he can plow through the small ones. So he's fun. I can't wait to play test him a little bit more in the future. But yeah, so that's looking at New Generation Customs Wave 2. Cannot wait for the future waves to come out.